I'm going to show you how to make a piece of art a bit like this. So the first thing we need to do is work from the back of the canvas forward. So we need to do all this sponging first, and then the last thing we do towards the end is stick all the writing on. So these are meant to look like neon lights that you would mount on a wall, and they kind of, all the light kind of shines outwards like this. So all the, you can see a bit of bricks on the background. Those bricks are being highlighted by the shimmering light that's coming off this neon sign. So I'm going to show you how to sponge first, and what you need to do to prepare is get your packs of paint like this, and you need to give them a really good shake, and then you need to scoop them out and put them on a palette. So what I've used here is an old bathroom tile because it's nice and shiny and the paints will wash off really easily, but you can use an old plate if you've got one, or if you've got a paint palette at home, just use that as well. So whatever suits you, but get them all out on the palette first. And then you want to find your your sponge, like this. And we're going to go sponge, sponge, sponge. So let me just move this one out of the way. You've got your black canvas here, and I'm going to go in with the bright pink paint. And I'm going to use a bit of red for the edges to make it darker, and I've got light purple and a bit of blue for the edges to make it darker. You can go any colours you like, but just try and have a light version and a darker version of the similar colour so that you can fade it out as it goes towards the edges. So you're going to dip your sponge in the paint and just start from the middle outwards. When you do sponging, with this sort of sponging, you need to work quite quickly so that you can fade it out before it dries, because if that dries on there like that, it's going to be quite hard to smooth out these edges, and you kind of want to dip so that you can't see the edges there. So sponge, 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 work with quite a lot of speed. Get that nice bright colour on there. Down a little bit more. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to turn the sponge around a little bit and dip it in that red. I'm just going to put the red around the edges a bit there. I will blend that in a moment. So where the two colours meet, I just want to go back to the pink bit of my sponge and just go over the edges where the two colours meet to really blend them into each other, so you can't see a join. So I'm kind of going like this, back, forth like that, just to try and blend those colours. And now I'm going to take my sponge and I'm just going to go over the edge of this line and try and, I'm slightly sliding the sponge a little bit just to try and fade it out towards the black edges. We are going to use a bit of black as well in a moment, so don't worry if you think, oh, it's not blending in very well. We're going to use a bit of black as well, so don't worry. A bit more paint in the middle because the black was showing through a little bit because it's such a strong background colour. So I'm just putting a bit more paint in the middle to cover up the black. Okay, so you just need to keep going with this until you're happy that it all looks quite soft. You want everything to sort of blend in together all nice and softly. There's no sort of obvious divisions between the two colours. so that's my pinky bit done. And now I'm going to move on to the purple. So I'm going to start with the lighter colour. I realised I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning. My name's Gemma and I normally teach classes face to face from our studio, but at the moment we're doing some online classes just so that everybody can access them from wherever they are. So I will just talk you through this one, and then if you want to watch any others you can, they're all online. Go. So I'm getting that purple down. Like I said, it takes a little bit of time to get it all on there. You think it would be quite quick, but it does take a bit of time. Now my dark, I've only got a little bit of sponge left to use for that dark blue. So I'm going to go around the edges with that dark blue. Go, and now I'm going to try and blend two colours together. And I'm just going to smooth it out to the edges so it can blend with the black of it. Okay, now I'm going to get a little bit of black on my sponge. I'm just going to blend it in slightly from the edges inwards. So not too much black, just a little bit on my sponge, and I'm just going to, oh, bit of pink there. Running out of clean sponge. I might have to use the middle. There we go. Just overlapping the colour just a little bit. Okay, so that is the sponging part done, and next we're going to cut out the words and stick them on. So we'll just let that dry for a little bit, and you may want to go and wash your hands and then come back to the cutting out part. Okay, so the next step is to cut out your words. Take your time, it is quite fiddly, especially getting in all these sort of little bits here. So if you don't like cutting out, try and find someone that does, or someone that can help you, or do it when you've got a lot of patience, because it is, yeah, quite fiddly. So take your time. You've got to try and do it as neat as you possibly can, because we're going to stick the paper to the actual canvas. So these bits here is just the paper stuck down. So try and do it as neat as you can. Okay, so you would have cut out all your words now. Hopefully it wasn't too painful. I think that's probably the hardest part actually, is trying to cut out the words, because they are fiddly. And then just lay them out roughly where you want them on the piece of paper. I should have said before you cut it out that if you want to change anything, you can. This is your piece of artwork, so if you want to change on the letters or the words, you can do any wording you like. There's lots of things to find on the internet, so if you want different fonts, they're all on there, so have a good look on there first. But you'll have a sheet in there and you can just cut it out from there if you want these exact words. So once you've cut them out, you'll have a little pot in your kit labelled glue. You want to scoop your glue out onto your palette, because it's a bit easier to use that way. And then you get your brush and you pick up a letter and you put glue on the back. So I find, rather than just using my brush and gluing it in my hand, rather than getting get all sticky, so I use a piece of paper and put the letter down, paint the back, and then peel it off and stick it down. There we go. So try and do the same for every letter. Okay, so the next thing we're going to paint on is a little bit of brick, and you want some black on your brush. Now to get rid of a little bit of it, so it's not too heavy, just a little bit on the end there, and you're just going to do the odd sort of corner of bricks, just to give it a bit of an illusion that it's on the brick wall. So not too much paint, like I said, keep it kind of almost like dry brushing, so you've got rid of quite a lot of it. And you can use a tissue to do this, you can get rid of a little bit in there. So the lines aren't too heavy, that's all. And you want some craggedy bits to make it look like the wall's a little bit rough. So you can do this before or after you put the words on, totally up to you. Again, it's just a little gesture to show where the bricks would be. Okay, so that's my bricks on there. Wash your brush really well. And then the next bit we're going to do are these reflections here onto the wall. So we're going to mix a little bit of pink with a bit of white to create these lighter areas. So I'll just show you how to do that bit next. So you've got your nice pale colour there, and you're just going to do another S, but it's slightly to one side. Okay, so it's slightly lower this way and to the right that way. So you want to make sure you do the same for all the letters so that you've got it all coming from the same place. So the A wants to do the same thing, coming down here a little bit. And then you just do the same for every letter. So the dream is slightly more complicated because it's actually got, you want a bit of a pink glow coming off it. So I'm going to mix some of this nice hot pink over here with a little bit of red to darken it down a bit. And I'm really going to put a little bit on my brush. I'm just washing the paint off my brush just so that I can use just a little bit on there. And I'm going to just go in between the letters a little bit. I need it to be a little bit darker. Okay, add a tiny bit of blue just to darken it down a bit. Too dark. There we go. Just to give it a bit of a glow, because these letters are giving off some nice bright pink colours. You want to keep it quite soft, which means just adding a bit of water and blending that pink into the background a bit more. If you get any paint on the white of the letters, don't worry too much because you can always go over it with some white paint. So I'm just using a bit of water now just to blend it slightly into the darker colour so it doesn't stand out too much. It just wants to be a soft glow, so we only want a little bit of colour on there. And I'm slightly using circular motions like this, just to kind of rub it in a bit, blend it all in. I'm going to deliberately put a bit of pink on there just because I want it to look like it's glowing in this area. So the lights look the lights look white, but in reality they've got a pink tinge to them, normally fluorescent lighting. So well, it has different colours, but this one is pink, and I just wanted to show up that is a little bit of pink on there. It just creates quite a nice sort of shadowing effect when you look at the whole thing at the end. So a tiny bit of pink on the actual white on that bit. There we go. And the next bit, I'm just going to put a few little lines in there, a bit like how we've done for these letters. I'm just going to put a few little flicks for the dream. So I'm going to use a little bit of white, probably a bit of that pale pink. Let's see if it shows up. So the odd sort of flick here and there where it looks like the light's hitting off the wall. the very last thing we're going to do is we're going to slightly outline these letters. And the reason we're doing that is to make them look a little bit more 3D, because they are meant to be fluorescent lighting, and fluorescent lighting is tubes of glass, so we want them to have a slightly rounded look, and if we do a little bit of outlining, it will just make them look like they're slightly more raised up. So you need to get your brush into a nice sharp point, so make sure, put it in the water a little bit, and make sure you can get all the hairs stuck together so that you've got this nice sharp point at the end, because we're going to do it really finely around the edge. So you're going to mix a bit of your pale pink, hopefully mine's still wet enough, there we go, with a little bit of red to make a darker colour to go around the top part there. So, just see if that's dark enough. So what I do is I tend to roll my brush in it like this from side to side so that I can get the point back on the brush. That's it, let's get rid of that water drop. So you want it to get a nice sharp point on the end there, and then you're going to very carefully just go around the edges of the white, just actually on the white paper itself. So take your time on this bit, and don't forget to breathe. It's quite easy to hold your breath for the whole thing. And again, if you make a mistake, like if your brush strokes are too wide or something like that, you can get some white paint and go over the top of it, so don't worry if you make any mistakes. We're trying to keep this line quite thin. It's just a little hint, little hint towards it being 3D. So we have to go around all these letters at the top in pink, and because this one is a more of a purple colour light, we'll go around the edges on this one with a slightly more purpley colour. And then you're very nearly there. So I'm just making a slightly more bluey pink for, oh, my colours are starting to dry up a little bit there, for the bottom word, the dream word. So it's a slightly more purpley tone. A little bit strong. Right, so that's everything on there now, and well done for completing this lesson. It's quite fiddly with all the cutting out and all the sticking down and everything, but I hope you've learnt a few fun techniques. The 3D lettering you can use on lots of different things. You can use it on t-shirt designing, you can do it if you're doing birthday cards, that kind of thing. So it's a little trick there that you can use on lots of different surfaces. And I hope you really enjoyed that lesson. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop me an email and ask away, and I can point you in the right direction if you get stuck on anything. And I'd also love to see your artwork and how you got on. So if you could email me some pictures, that would make my day. So thanks very much, and I hope you really enjoyed it.